Silver just lost its biggest customer in the most unexpected way possible. For years, the solar industry quietly devoured hundreds of millions of ounces of silver. At its peak, solar panels were consuming around 200 million ounces every year. Silver was the quiet, indispensable ingredient sitting right next to silicon. But then something snapped in the math. When silver traded at $15 to $20 an ounce, it was just a rounding error. Roughly 1.5% of total panel costs buried inside spreadsheets nobody worried about. That era is over. In 2025, silver exploded nearly 150% in a single brutal year. By late January 2026, it briefly spiked around $120 an ounce. Suddenly, that quiet rounding error turned into more than 30% of total panel costs. If you run a solar manufacturing business in China with razor-thin margins, that is not a fun surprise. You are already competing in an industry flooded with cheap panels and too much capacity. Then your silver bill triples, then it quintuples, and your entire profit margin evaporates. You only have two choices: use less silver or stop using silver altogether. That is exactly what the industry started to do. Chinese manufacturers began aggressively thrifting silver content and experimenting with copper-based alternatives. Some new panel designs now use almost no silver at all, and global analysts look at this and say the same thing. Industrial demand is falling, solar is moving away from silver, this must be bearish. That thinking sounds logical on the surface, but when you actually zoom out and look at the bigger system, it is backwards. There is a mechanism hiding inside this market that turns so-called demand destruction into one of the clearest buying signals I have ever seen. Silver just lost its biggest industrial customer, and somehow that may be the best news silver investors have received in years. My name is Max. On this channel, we break down real-world money flows, commodity cycles, and macro risks so regular investors are not flying blind. If you are serious about understanding what actually moves metals like silver and gold, not just reacting to headlines, you are in the right place. Hit subscribe if you haven't already and drop your end of 2026 silver price prediction down in the comments. I read every single one and I am genuinely curious where you think we are headed. Because the core thesis of this video is simple but uncomfortable. The worse silver's industrial demand gets, the stronger the long-term investment case becomes. Silver is not just another factory input. It has a dual identity, half industrial metal, half monetary metal, and that split personality creates one of the most asymmetric setups I have ever seen in precious metals. To really see it, you need to understand two big shifts in the solar industry. One strange feedback loop inside investor psychology, and why the supply-side math refuses to cooperate. Let's start with what actually happened inside solar before everyone started panicking. Back in 2016, global solar panels were consuming roughly 80 million ounces of silver every year. It was meaningful, but still manageable for the market. Then, governments, corporations, and investors all joined the renewable energy arms race. Solar installations exploded across rooftops, deserts, and farms around the world. Silver demand from photovoltaics climbed and climbed until it peaked near 200 million ounces per year. That is a roughly 150% increase in less than a decade. Silver quietly became the solar industry's most important raw material after silicon itself. All of that growth assumed one thing: silver would stay cheap forever. At $15 or $20 an ounce, silver represented around 1.5% of total panel manufacturing costs. You could almost ignore it on the income statement. No executive stayed awake at night worrying about that tiny line item, but markets do not care about your business plan. In 2025, silver staged its strongest annual performance since the late 1970s. Prices surged nearly 150% in a single year. By January 2026, silver briefly touched around $120 an ounce. Overnight, silver's share of panel costs exploded from a rounding error to more than 30% of the entire bill. Imagine running a solar factory in China under those conditions. Your margins were already razor thin because producers have been undercutting each other for years. The market is awash in cheap panels, governments are arguing about tariffs, and now one input suddenly eats a third of your cost structure. You are not going to shrug and accept that. You are going to call every engineer you have and demand a new plan. Use less silver. Find a way to stretch every milligram, or better yet, remove silver entirely if the performance trade-off is manageable. And that is exactly what started happening. Research groups in Europe pushed silver usage per panel down below 14 milligrams per watt, a roughly 44% reduction versus the old industry average. Paste formulations that blend copper with silver cut silver content by 30 to 50% per panel with less than 1% efficiency loss. Thin film technologies like cadmium telluride bypass silver altogether. Meanwhile, companies in China spent the better part of a decade developing copper plating techniques that are finally reaching commercial scale. Industry-wide adoption timelines now point toward the late 20s. This is the context behind those headlines about solar turning its back on silver. From the outside, it looks like a simple story. Solar demand is shrinking, industrial fabrication is sliding toward a 4-year low, so silver must be in trouble. But that conclusion only makes sense if you treat silver like any other industrial commodity. And silver simply is not that. In a normal commodity, when big industries optimize away from using it, demand drops, inventories rebuild, prices cool off, and eventually a comfortable equilibrium returns. We saw this recently with lithium. When electric vehicle momentum slowed and supply caught up, lithium prices did not gently glide to a soft landing. They collapsed. No mysterious floor appeared to save them. Silver operates under a very different set of rules. Yeah, it powers factories and technologies, but in the minds of hundreds of millions of people, silver also lives in the same mental bucket as gold. It is savings, insurance, and a hedge against monetary chaos, not just an industrial ingredient. That dual identity is what makes this moment so fascinating. When the solar industry announces it will use less silver, most commentators see a classic bearish signal. Yet investors who actually follow the physical market see something completely different. They see confirmation of scarcity. If a hyper-competitive industry built on thin margins cannot afford to keep using silver, the message to savers is loud and clear. This metal is too valuable to waste on low-margin products. And the data backs that psychological shift up. According to the latest Silver Institute report, bar and coin demand is projected to jump around 20% in 2026. That would push investment demand toward roughly 227 million ounces, a fresh 3-year high. Western physical investment, which had been declining for 3 straight years, is finally recovering. Chinese gold exchange traded funds saw record inflows measured in tens of billions of renminbi. Global silver exchange traded product holdings sit well above 1.3 billion ounces. Here's the feedback loop most people are missing. Solar thrifting might save 40 to 50 million ounces of silver per year. But investors are stepping in and absorbing that slack almost instantly, and then some. Every ounce the solar industry manages to save does not push prices down and leave silver idle on some warehouse shelf. It simply becomes available for investors to lock away in bars, coins, and vaulted products. The industrial customer quietly walks away. The monetary buyer walks in through the same door with a longer time horizon and a higher pain tolerance for volatility. The deficit in the market does not close. It persists. This is only the first layer of the story. To really understand why losing a big customer can still be bullish, we also need to talk about the kind of demand that cannot leave, no matter how high prices go. Think about where silver shows up outside of solar panels and consumer gadgets. Hospitals rely on silver-based wound dressings and medical coatings because of its antimicrobial properties. Aerospace manufacturers use silver in critical components that took years to certify and qualify. High-end electrical connectors in data centers depend on silver's conductivity and reliability. These applications are not juggling thin retail margins or subsidy politics. They are dealing with human safety, mission-critical systems, and guaranteed uptime. If silver doubles again from here, hospitals cannot simply switch to cheaper bandage chemistry overnight. Airlines and spacecraft builders cannot rip out certified silver-based parts just because quarterly budgets are tight. Cloud providers cannot risk unreliable connections in their data centers to save a few dollars per rack. That is what we mean by inelastic industrial demand. Prices can move violently, and this demand barely flinches. Analysts talking about industrial demand falling to a 4-year low often miss this distinction. The demand that is leaving is the most price-sensitive, the part that had options. The demand that is staying is the part that has no choice. And that leftover base is stickier, more resilient, and less willing to vanish when prices rise. So we already have one strange dynamic. Solar tries to leave, investment demand shows up, and hardcore industrial users stay put. But the story does not stop there. Because while one legacy customer walks away, entirely new customers are quietly walking in. Think about what is happening with artificial intelligence right now. Every serious AI model needs compute. Compute needs vast farms of specialized chips, servers, switches, and cooling systems. All of that hardware lives inside data centers filled with high-end electronics. Circuit boards, connectors, power rails, switchgear, high-frequency communication lines. Silver sits inside those systems as a key conductive and reliability material. At the same time, electric vehicles are rolling off assembly lines around the world. An internal combustion car might use 20 to 25 kilograms of copper and a modest amount of silver. An electric vehicle uses dramatically more electrical components, sensors, and interfaces. Onboard charging systems, battery management electronics, high-power switches, and grid-connected chargers all lean on silver contacts. So while solar is learning how to live with less silver, AI infrastructure and transportation systems are quietly increasing their claims on the same limited supply. The Silver Institute has already flagged data centers, AI-related technology, and the automotive sector as growing pillars of silver demand. They are unlikely to disappear just because solar becomes more efficient. Put these pieces together and the industrial picture looks very different from the scary headline. Solar leaves, new technology arrives, a chunk of demand cannot leave at all, and investors are absorbing the rest. While we are on this point, if this breakdown is helping you see silver with a clearer lens, take a second to hit that subscribe button and share this video with someone who still thinks the story is just about solar. It helps the channel reach more serious long-term thinkers like you. Now let us turn to the part of the story almost no headline leads with. Supply is not nearly as flexible as people assume. Total silver supply for this year is forecast around 1.05 billion ounces. That includes mine production and recycling. It is roughly 1.5% higher than last year and sits near the highest levels of the past decade. Mine output alone is projected near 820 million ounces. So yes, on the surface it looks like producers are stepping up. More metal is coming out of the ground, more scrap is being refined. The faucet over that bathtub is open wide. The problem is that the drain has been wider still. Even with decade-high supply, the Silver Institute expects demand to exceed new supply by around 60 to 70 million ounces this year. That shortfall would mark the 6th consecutive year of structural deficit. If you add up the last 5 years, the market has burned through more than 800 million ounces in cumulative deficits. That is not a rounding error. That is nearly an extra full year of mine supply that had to come from somewhere other than current production. Inventories in major trading hubs and vaults have been drawn down. Some of that metal is now sitting in coins and bars that will not reappear unless owners decide to sell. Think again of the bathtub analogy. The faucet represents mines and recycling. The drain represents factories, hospitals, data centers, and investors. Every year more water leaves through the drain than enters through the faucet. You can run the faucet a little harder, and that is what miners have done. But as long as the drain is pulling more out than you are pouring in, the water level keeps falling. After 5 or 6 years, you can literally see more of the porcelain at the bottom of the tub. That is where we are today in the silver market. The tub is not bone dry yet, but it is visibly lower. And the uncomfortable truth is that turning up the faucet meaningfully from here is slow and expensive. You cannot flip a switch and add another 50 million ounces of mine production next year. New mines require discoveries, drilling, feasibility studies, environmental reviews, community negotiations, infrastructure, and financing. Each stage can drag on for years, especially in a world that is more cautious about large industrial projects. The reality is that we are living through the supply picture created by the last decade's prices. When silver traded around $20 an ounce for years, there was not a lot of appetite to spend billions chasing new deposits. Investors were not waving checkbooks at every geologist with a drill rig. So there is no massive wave of new mines ready to fill the gap just because 2025 and 2026 look strong. The supply response to higher prices is measured in 7 to 10-year cycles, not 7 to 10-month cycles. Put bluntly, even if prices back off for a bit, the underlying bathtub math does not change quickly. That is why we keep using the word structural when we talk about this deficit. Now, put the industrial story, the investor feedback loop, and the slow-moving supply picture side by side. On one axis, you have solar thrifting, inelastic demand from medicine and aerospace, and new users like AI and electric vehicles. On the other axis, you have investors who interpret every piece of that story through the lens of scarcity and monetary insurance. When industrial users optimize away from silver, they free up metal that investors are happy to hoard. When prices rise, inelastic demand stays put and continues quietly drawing from the same pool. When mines respond slowly, deficits stack year after year and above-ground stocks keep draining. This is why, in a very real sense, the bearish case and the bullish case for silver are the same case looked at from two different angles. The analyst focused only on solar sees falling industrial usage and calls it negative. The investor focused on structural deficits, inelastic demand, and monetary behavior sees the exact same facts and calls them confirmation. Which angle you choose does not change the math, but it absolutely changes whether you are prepared for the outcomes that math implies. At this point, if you are still with me, you are already far ahead of most people commenting on silver right now. You understand that solar walking away does not mean silver is finished. You understand that inelastic demand and new technology can quietly backfill the gap. You understand that a decade high in supply can coexist with multi-year deficits and shrinking inventories. The question is what you want to do with that understanding. I want you to imagine your future self 2 or 3 years from now. Maybe silver has continued to grind higher. Maybe it has spiked, crashed, and then found a new range. Maybe policymakers have panicked and changed the rules of the game again. Whatever the path, that future version of you will have the benefit of hindsight. They will look back at this period and see whether the bathtub really did keep draining. They will see whether new mines came online fast enough or whether investors continued to lean into scarcity. What you control today is not that future outcome. You control whether that future version of you can honestly say you understood the mechanism and made deliberate choices, or whether you shrugged and trusted the headline version of the story. If you want more content that digs into these kinds of mechanisms instead of just cheering for price targets, hit subscribe before you click away. And as always, tell me in the comments what you want to explore next. We can break down silver mining supply chains, the gold to silver ratio, central bank gold buying, or the metals hiding inside the data center boom. The best video ideas on this channel have always come directly from this community. The solar industry may have fired silver, but silver has not lost its job. It has simply moved to a higher-paying role in a more complex, more constrained global system. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.